In this video, I want to go over what I would do if I was 58 kilograms again, step by step. We're going to go over every single thing. And what I want to do in this video is to share what works best for me from someone who is in the same position as you are. And by the way, some of today's tips are from my full arm accelerator program. It's the first link in the description if you want to check it out. So number one, the first thing I would do is to fix my training very, very fast. So I would get any program to train my arms, shoulders, chest, and back at least 2 times per week. That's in terms of the program. So I would choose any kind of program that allows me to train arms, shoulders, chest, and back 2 times per week. In terms of how I would train very, very slow and push close to failure. And many people explain this by reps in reserve. And that works, of course, but studies shows that most people cannot estimate accurately the reps in reserve. So what I like to do is to tell people, okay, so you can think in a set, this is a set, and you can think like 70% of that set, from 0 to 70%, that's zone 1. Zone 2 is the last 30%, from 70% to 100%. So close to failure is that last 30%, from 70 to 100. The way I like to tell people to get into that zone is by describing to them how it feels and what should they feel. So, like I said, from 0 to 70% of the first part of the set, the majority of the set, is going to feel easy, relatively easy. Not easy like you don't lift at all, but it's going to feel easier than the second part. Now, how do you know when you get to that last 30%? The last 30%, it feels like this. You feel some burning sensation in the muscle that you're training at that moment. You feel some kind of pump. The muscle feels fatigued. And most importantly, the number one indicator of this is that the weight that you lift starts to feel heavier and heavier and heavier. The second most important indicator that you are in this zone of building muscle and targeting muscle growth is when the speed of the reps decreases. So if when you begin the set, you can do reps like this, when you get into that last 30%, the zone, the second part, the zone 2, you cannot do any more like this. The speed of the reps decreases. So maybe you're gonna start to fight to complete one more rep. That's the last 30%. So when the weight starts to feel heavier and heavier, you fight to lift that weight and you struggle to complete reps. That's the last 30%. How do you know when you reach failure? When you reach failure, you cannot complete one more full rep. That's it. Beyond failure is when you reach failure, you stop, and right away, let's say you do a drop set. You pick 20-30% less weight and you do one more set without resting. That's beyond failure. However, I would just do this in the beginning. Train slow and push close to failure. At least get into that last 30%, the second zone of a set. I hope this helps you to understand and to estimate accurately training till failure. And the third thing that I would do in terms of training is going to stick to that program and do not skip days. I'm telling you right now, the most amount of gains that I've made were in a period where I didn't skip days of training. I was just training, stack on days of training, stack on progression, all that good stuff. Another important thing I would do, I didn't add it here, but it's still an important one to do, is going to be progressive overload. Progressive overload means to make the exercise harder, gradually making the exercise harder. So you can think of many ways. There are many ways to achieve progressive overload. There are 2 main ones that I like to teach people. Add a few reps, 1 to 2 reps from week to week with the same weight from the previous week. So that means you need to track your workouts. Or you can add 1 kilogram or 2 kilograms and do the same reps from the previous week. So that's going to be the main 2 ways of progression. However, you cannot do that every single week. There's going to be a point where you cannot increase the reps and you cannot increase the weight. So then you must have another way to achieve progression. What can you do in terms of other things to achieve progression? Well, one thing you can do is to focus on a strict form. You can get into that zone, the second zone, the last 30%, just like I taught you. However, you try to have the technique strict. Like you try to get into that. There's still progression. So let's say this week you train and you get close to failure and the form kind of breaks down a bit. And next week you can do the same reps, same sets, same weight, but you push in that same zone. But now you focus on having a very strict technique. That's still progression right there. Another thing, you can focus on mind-muscle connection. So training a bit slower, thinking of that muscle. If it's a muscle in the back, it's a bit hard to do that. You need to practice a lot, but you can train slower. There are more ways to do. I would say when you cannot add reps and weights, focus on controlling the movement and try to improve your form. That's still progression. Next week, you can try again, adding reps, adding weight. Next one, high calorie, no cook meals. I know the main problem actually with skinny guys is that they are not very hungry. They have a low appetite. And another thing, they don't feel like cooking, or they don't know cooking. They don't like cooking. If they work a job, that's another minus right there, because they cannot store food at their job. They don't have time to cook, and it gets more complicated. What I would do here, I would create myself meals that are high in calories, easy to get, and that I do not need to cook. So I'm going to give you an example of a meal like this that I would personally eat. So I have 2 bananas. One banana is approximately 100 calories. So if I eat 200 calories like this. Actually, what you can do to gain weight, it's unconventional, but you can do it. You eat 2 bananas in the morning, 2 bananas at lunch, 2 bananas after your workout or before your workout actually, and 2 bananas again in the evening. And you have a couple of 100 calories on top of what you already eat. But let's say you don't want to eat just bananas. Let's say you don't want to do that. So we have 2 bananas, roughly 200 calories, 100 grams of walnuts, roughly 600 calories, 2 scoops of whey protein, about 200 calories. So a total 1000 calories on top of what you already eat. This meal right here does not require any cooking. You can store it whatever you want. You can store it in your backpack. You can store it. You don't need the fridge. You don't need anything. You can take these with you at school. You can take this with you at work. That's perfect. And you don't need to eat it one time. Like you put some water in the shaker, you drink the whey, you get some walnuts, you work a little bit more, and then you eat 2 bananas. That's it, right? So I would definitely do that because there's a problem. Now I can take these at work, school. I do not need to store it in the fridge. Exactly what I said there. Number 3, chunking. Now, chunking means to split big things into smaller parts. So imagine you have a very big meal, a very big plate of pasta, and you split it into 5 portions like this. You can eat 5 portions like this, one at a time, all right? So just to make it easier for you. Like I said, if you have a big meal, let's say over 1,000 calories, but it's hard to eat all at once, we can chunk it into small parts that we can eat throughout the day. So by the end of the day, we still get those 1,000 calories, but the main difference is that we do not eat that 1,000 calories all at once. So that's the main difference there, and the benefit of chunking. And let's say you have a big meal, a lot of chicken, a lot of veggies, and a lot of potatoes, let's say. You split it into 3 or 4 parts. Or if you have a full pack of walnuts, you eat 20 grams at a time, and you eat that 5 times a day. 20 grams, 5 times a day, you get 100 grams of walnuts right there, which, like I said, it's about 600 calories. Number 4, protein. You need to get the protein right. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's what I would do, or 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram. I would take this number, eat it every single day, and split it into 4 to 5 times per day to make it optimal for building muscle, to keep the process of building muscle elevated throughout the day. Just try to eat that amount every single day. I wouldn't overcomplicate this. And number 5, track. every single day after using the bathroom. And here I'm talking about tracking the weight, not the calories. Now, like I said, every single day after using the bathroom, no drinks, no food, you hop on the scale and write down the number. At the end of the week, you have 7 numbers. You find the median number, and the way you do this, you put all the numbers in numerical order, and you get the median number, the one in the middle, and do this for the next week as well. And I would only compare and look at the median number from week to week, not from day to day, because that can be water retention, it can be something else. So I would only look from week to week at the median number. What to look for? Just, if you're a complete skinny guy, gain no more than half a pound per week. If you just focus on that, you're training hard, you have a sleep on point, you are going to build muscle. Do not gain more than half a pound per week, because that's going to make it harder for you to lose that weight. You're going to gain a lot of fat, not a bunch of muscle. You're going to gain just the same amount of muscle, and you're going to have a lot of fat to lose. Again, I think it's number 6 or something. The meals, I would focus on eating at least 3 meals, including lean meats, eggs, veggies, and carbs. That's what I would do. At least 3 meals of this, and the rest focus on protein powder, walnuts, shakes, peanut butter, all that good stuff, right? So, because we want the micronutrients, the macronutrients as well, so we don't want to cut out any food group. And we need to also talk about recovery. I would get around 8 hours of sleep every single night to help me with the process of building muscle. Go to sleep at the same time, keep the room cold. The only 2 things that work for me in terms of improving my sleep. Now, for the questions, you may have questions. Not tracking calories, it's a very good idea and it helps, of course. However, what I would do is create myself meals that I can eat every single day without changing them a lot. And I would calculate the calories once for every single meal, and I will have them noted somewhere, and I know, okay, I'm going to eat these meals, so I'm going to have, let's say, 600 calories, something like that. I would do that instead of just tracking calories. You can do those. You can do that. It helps a lot. Now, no mass gainer, shakes, drinks. You can buy them, but I would rather make my own at home, because I can control what I put in there, and because of most of these mass gainers on the market are low quality and you get a bunch of sugar. Now, if this helps, you'll love the full 6 phases system. Like I said in the beginning, it's my arm accelerator program. It's gonna help you bring your arms from this to this. I teach you the exact same way I did it. I've put every single thing I know in there, and the 6 phases system that you can learn step by step. So it's not a bunch of information in there. Okay, boom, learn this. No, it's phase by phase by phase, 6 phases. After you learn those, you're going to unlock the gains I'm telling you right now. It's the first link in the description. Go check it out right now.